What's up, everybody? This is the Toy Photographers Podcast. We have an amazing episode for you. We have the one, the only Mr. Nose Rain on the other line. What is up, Richie? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? I really appreciate you reaching out to me and inviting me on here.
Dude, I'm so glad to have you on. Like it's almost like, a pinch me kind of moment because I've been such a big fan of your work. So just having you on the podcast is gonna be exciting. I know a lot of people are gonna be listening to this because they wanna know you more and get to know, the person behind the lens, so it's gonna be fun.
For sure, for sure. I'm looking forward to it for sure. So let's get into it, man.
Do it, man. So just break it on down. How long have you been doing toy photography?
Man, I feel like this goes back to I want to say like I started like collecting toys way before I was doing any sort of like toy photography stuff.
Right?
And I wanna say, like, I think it was just somewhere on, like, the internet, maybe it was, like, Tumblr or just something, like, I noticed that there was, like, toy photography out there because of that, and I think it was a specific image that I saw. It might have been do you know that, Amazon box figure thing at
No, I
all?
don't. I don't know that.
So there's, like, a it's I don't know how to really describe it other than it kinda looks like an anime character, but it's also a box, but, I
Yeah,
just
yeah, 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 I
yeah.
know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember seeing that somewhere and just being like, "Oh, man, that's really cool," and then just I think looking more into it, I started seeing, like, Lego photography and, like, Stormtrooper, Lego photography and things like that, and, I realized it was a thing, and I think later on it was more, looking at, like, the hashtag toy photography
Yeah?
on Instagram, and I think when I was looking through that hashtag, it was more like the ACBA type of stuff that I was seeing,
Okay.
and, I think even going onto, like, Facebook and places like that, I would, like, find, like, the group and stuff, and so I felt like toy photography, like, that's sort of, like, how I knew about it, but I never really jumped into it and thought like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this thing too," 'cause again, I was more of, like, a collector at the time, and I would be pretty selective about like what I wanted to buy. Fast forward a little bit, it wasn't until Captain Dangerous. I mean, I think everybody knows who
Oh,
that
yeah.
is, and just seeing her stuff. And I remember at the time it was when I purchased a DSLR for myself, and I got the 50 millimeter, the Nifty 50 or whatever. It was a Canon lens, and that was more so for, videography because I was doing, like, YouTube videos and stuff at the time, and I was super into sneakers, so I was trying to do, like, sneaker reviews. Yeah, so I had that DSLR and I had that lens, and, I saw Kylie's, photos, and it was super, super charming stuff. Like, I think just seeing, like, the Nendoroid figures, outdoors and just the color and all that stuff, and, I'm pretty sure she used the same lens or had the 50 millimeter so that, she in her photos, she has, the shallow depth of field where, you
Right.
get a very blurred background and stuff, and I remember specifically seeing this one photo of the Nendoroid Link, and it was holding, like, this leaf over its head, and I was just like, "Wow, that looks really, really awesome." And I think the reason why I sort of jumped into it at that point was because, at the time I was collecting like, different figures, mostly like anime stuff and, figures produced by like Good Smile. So I had a few Figma and specifically I had the Nendoroid like Trainer Red from Pokemon. And because she was taking pictures of Nendroids and I had the Trainer Red Nendroid, I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll go and try this." So I went outside and I started, like, taking photos of my Pokemon toys and things like that, and that was pretty much how I jumped into it myself. Uh,
So what's the
on
timeline for that? Like, what year was that?
I wanna say it was 2015 or so. I think
Okay.
that was my jumping point into Instagram and using that as a platform to share, like, my toy photography. But, I think prior to that, like, I would sort of experiment a little bit. I think in, like, a photography class that I had in college, and I was, like, shooting, like, some t like, a Spider-Man action figure or whatever, and I think the assignment, I don't remember the assignment exactly, but I just remember using like that action figure and sort of going around my room and having it like mess around with the stuff. I have some of those photos actually in my highlights on my profile.
Oh, nice.
And I think those were definitely some of the earlier ones that I shot, but I never like uploaded those to Instagram or anything like that.
Nice. So you started about 4 years ago, give or take, and within that amount of time, man, it is amazing. If you I'm scrolling right now to the back of your page all the way down to the very beginning. It's amazing to see how quickly you grasp toy photography and almost superhumanly. Did you have any sort of background in, like, art design or, like, what's your profession, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I'm a visual designer. I work at a design and marketing agency. But yeah, I think I've always sort of had that interest in visual arts, whether it was illustration, animation, or whatever, growing up in the 90s, like all the 90s cartoons and things like that.
Yeah,
I yeah, I gravitated toward that stuff, and I loved drawing growing up and reading comics and all that stuff. So, I think eventually I had an interest in photography, I think, but it wasn't anything that I was super serious about. It was just, I had like my point and shoot camera or whatever, and I would turn the setting to, I think there was like a macro mode or whatever, that little flower icon. And I noticed like, it would blur out the background a little bit and really create that focus, and I started, like, loving to do those kind of photos. But, I mean, yeah, again, it wasn't anything I jumped into too seriously because I think once I got into college, it was more like I wanted to do stuff that was based on, like, product design or, like, industrial design type of stuff where it was like, there's these designers who are creating iPhones and, like, basically everything that you see in, like, the physical world, right?
right.
Um so I had my interest there. I think just design in general has always been like something that I loved. Like just seeing stuff like aesthetically or whatever, just I don't know what it was, but it definitely like caught my eye and I didn't I guess know that I wanted to jump into that and start a career until it was, around like college. And cuz I got in college, I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do, but then eventually jumped into the graphic design program that was there, and since then, it's, design, graphic design, that kind of stuff has been sort of like my wheelhouse.
Nice. So does toy photography kind of like you use it as more of a hobby, as an outlet to kind of express yourself, or is this something that you do organically? How would you kind of describe your toy photography? Because I know you've been doing it a while. Like a lot of people see this as a pastime, as a hobby, and I know that you've gotten opportunities. We can talk about that later on with
Mhm.
companies. But how do you view it? Like, what is it? What is it to you? I'm curious.
So, it's interesting because it's like even though I started doing this stuff like 2014, 2015, I did take a year-long break almost. I think it was, it had a lot to do with moving and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't really jump back into it until I decided like, "Hey, I'm gonna commit to something and see like what if I commit to this and like do it consistently, like where can it take me?" And that was literally like my mindset when I restarted like my account. And th-
Wow.
and that was like 2017, I think, like in January. And so I remember the specific post that I decided that, and it was like, if you go back, you'll see a picture of Kobe Bryant. It's like a Enter Bay 1/6 figure that I had, and yeah, I just remember since that day, and I try to, like, be consistent by posting every single day, and, that can obviously get exhausting, and
Oh yeah.
so, that eventually stopped, but yeah, since then, it's just I think I've just loved doing it. I think the more you do it, it's like to me, I guess, it gives purpose to, like, my collection, but also it's like, I don't know, it's sort of a way to illustrate almost because I don't have the skills to draw or create whatever I want, I mean, maybe through, like, graphic design kinda stuff. I think this is a way that's super, super just interesting, and, like, when people see it or know what it is, it's like, I don't know, it just makes them happy or whatever it is, and definitely makes, like, me happy even, trying to come up with an idea to shoot or just whatever it is, I think it's just super fun, and I think that's why I just continue to do it.
And I think a lot of people kind of, put you in this, I wouldn't say pedestal, but they put you when people mention you automatically, the people that you run with, the Swift Picks, Work More or Less, Black Series,
Yeah,
and
shout out to
Sarge.
those guys.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. I love to I I love to be able to interview you guys because not only are you guys just entirely different breed of people because you're so creative, but also you guys are relentless in the pursuit of what you enjoy. And that's something that you mentioned just a second ago is so incredible. Like if I can just devote myself to this and just see where I go. And it's amazing what you have already done, my friend. Like it's incredible. And
Thank you, appreciate it, man.
it really is. It really is. And I got to give props where props is due. And you put in the work and you put in the time and it shows, man. And your work is so beautiful. And I often come back for inspiration on your page.
Seriously,
So,
thank you, man.
of course, dude, of course. And me and Mr. Scott Blind, we're big fans of yours. We're always talking about your posts whenever we're chatting. And we're always wondering, how does he do this stuff, that he does? You know what I mean? Like, it's just amazing some of the techniques. And do you think like I know when you started out, of course, you were using different techniques and you've kind of transitioned lately. I know you were doing a lot of indoor shots. So is that something that you focus on as your technique? How do you approach toy photography? Are you trying to do something new every time? Because your creative process, man, it always blows me away.
Um, yeah, it's definitely changed since, the very beginning where it was a lot more of the outdoor stuff, and I think that was just, like, beginning in the toy photography stuff, it was I wouldn't say it's easy because it's, like, it still has its own challenges. Shooting outdoors definitely has its own things that you have to work around. Obviously, like, if you're trying to use the sun as your source of light, which makes sense because 'cause you're outdoors, it's you're either chasing it, whether it's, you're like, coming back home after work or something, and you're like, "Oh, I need the low light," or,
Right.
um, whatever it is, it definitely has its own challenges, but I felt like I was way more comfortable doing that kind of, photography than trying to you sort of mimic that lighting indoors, and, so that was essentially the reason why I would continue to stick to that earlier on, but I think the reason why I sort of switched over or experimented a little bit more with the indoor, lighting setups and things like that was specifically because, I didn't want to rely on the sun and at what point or where it was, at one point during the day. When winter comes around, like, obviously the sun's gonna go down, like, faster and
Yep.
I didn't it was just very inconvenient to, like, shoot, so, I felt like this was a challenge I sorta needed to face and, like, I needed to learn how to do this indoor photography and create my own lighting, and things like that, and so it's definitely created a lot more flexibility for my schedule, and, yeah, if anybody is sort of, like, struggling to do anything like that, that's something I'd recommend is to sort of, like, try it out and just continue to do it even though it's like, it might be hard in the beginning, but I think eventually, like, it'll definitely be worth it,
Yeah.
to tackle that.
For sure. And progressing as a toy photographer, you have to take those steps and those moments and really reflect like you did and say, how am I going to get better at this? How am I going to grow? And everybody that's good at what they do, whether it's sports or whether it's broadcast journalism or whether it's
Mhm.
podcasting, anything, you have to reinvent yourself as you go along because if you don't, you're going to get stale and you're not going to enjoy it. And you've done that, man. You've done that so many times where I go back and I'm currently looking at older shots that you've done and even though like they're amazing shots, like I feel like you were still finding your signature style. Like you were kind of like discovering your who you are as a photographer. And now that I look at your shots, it's just synonymous with the kind of the quality that you always bring. And I love the fact that you always do behind the scenes, man. That encouraged me to start doing behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah?
When it, yeah, like so
Nice.
whenever you would post and you do it behind the scenes, it helped me grow and help like, oh, that's how he does it. And when did you kind of start doing the behind the scenes stuff?
Um, when did I start doing that? I don't remember the specific photo that I started doing that, but I think so. The reason why I like to show the behind the scenes is that just as a user or just as a viewer, when it comes to like this is an example, like Leica Studios, they did stop motion films like Kubo and Paranorman and Coraline and those kind of movies.
Right.
And I think obviously like the motion picture that they create is like a masterpiece just in itself, but then it's like the real like wonder and awe is like, if you saw the behind the scenes of that stuff. And I feel like a lot more people are more interested in seeing how something is done. And so it was that, right? It was like, okay, I'm gonna upload some behind the scenes. I mean, it's not like I invented the behind the scenes thing, obviously.
Sure,
It's like
sure.
I'm sure there's definitely been people who've done that and shown that. But to me, I wanted to make it a point where it was like I am showing my behind the scenes. One, so that yeah, if people do want to see what I'm doing or how I created this shot, like they have that, but it's also an opportunity, I guess, for like if anybody was to ever stop on one of my photos, it would, they'd be able to see the actual photo, that the final image, and then if they swiped over, they would be able to see that. And whether that translated into a follow or whatever it was, I just felt like just having those two together just made sense almost.
It's amazing, man, because you're so generous with those behind the scenes, and that gives everybody who's following you an opportunity to, copy and to be able to learn. And I want, when I say copy, I don't mean to take away from what you're doing, but to learn the techniques because you're like one of the shots that you did with that Pokemon figure, and you had a like a Pokemon card, and
Hmm.
I was watching, so intently how you were able to create that. Like I was blown away. Like you're always thinking outside the box, and that's something I always get excited about whenever, because I've got you set on notifications. Whenever you post, I know instantly, so I'm the first to see, and so I'm like, "Okay, how did you do it? How's it gonna go down?" I love seeing that, man. It's amazing. I'm so grateful that you do those behind the scenes, so thank you.
Yeah, man. Again, yeah, I feel like it's something that I've learned just being I think this is the word that they call it. I think it's something like karmic equity where it's like you just give out for free and essentially like people will give back, whether
Yes.
through like their support or whatever it is. It's just like, I think that's what's sort of going to be the thing that's contagious to your account. It's like if you're able to give out free content, people are going to like swarm and want to be around it.
I know, man. It's so valuable. Like every single one that you share, I learn something new. So it definitely has that karma feel where you're constantly giving out and you get that return investment, whether or not you see it immediately or not. So that's incredible, man. I applaud you for that,
And
Mr. Nose Rain. So I'm curious about the name Nose Rain. I know the name, how what it means, but I want to ask you, so everybody listening, maybe they don't
yeah.
know. How did you get the name? Where does it come from? And what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so, I'm growing up, I think basketball was such a big part of just, like, my childhood, whether it was, playing basketball with, like, my church friends or, like, my neighborhood friends or whatever it was. It was something that I loved and just, loving basketball, you obviously start loving the NBA and things like that, and Kobe Bryant was the player, I guess, as I got older, was the player that I really looked up to, and it wasn't just the way that he played the game, it wasn't his skill, even though obviously, like, you first become a fan through that, but I think I truly became more of a fan when I started to listen to him, in interviews and things like that, and you sort of get to, see, like, the behind the scenes of, like, how he gets to sort of, like, his mental state, like, as he plays, and you start to learn about like, the Mamba mentality, as he puts it, is, just working super hard and just being very persistent and, never really like backing down from a challenge. And I think it was once I started to see that side of his thinking and all that stuff, it was like, wow, this guy's really in a different league. And, that sort of elevated him up in, I guess, like what I like. So he became like my favorite basketball player, I think,
Nice.
since then. Cause like I grew up loving like Allen Iverson as a kid and obviously like Michael Jordan and stuff. But I think can easily say that Kobe Bryant is like my favorite basketball player of all time because of those things. And so going back to that, so the name Nose Rain, I'm Korean American by the way. So the reason why it's Nose Rain is because in Korean, like cool means nose in English, and then P means rain. And so it's if you put it together, it's Kobe, but it's Nose Rain. So that's essentially how I decided to create a name. And I think it was even just the beginning of like, the whole account. Again, it was that image of Kobe Bryant. And just to sort of like remind me that, okay, this is, just be consistent and like put in the work and see where this will take you essentially.
Has he ever reached out to you? Did you ever, like, talk to I know it's
No.
probably like a pipe dream, but, like, you
Yeah,
haven't
that'd
talked
be
to him yet?
awesome. No, no, I haven't, but interestingly, like, dude, I went to, it was the season that he, announced, he was retiring. Um, I'm from Virginia, and so, like, the closest basketball game I think at the time that I could have attended, was in Charlotte, North Carolina. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I went to his last game there. It was really cool. Michael Jordan had a little like thing to say in the very beginning, and just like watching him play live. That was the first time I'd ever seen him play, and that was super
Wow.
like surreal. Like it just felt weird, you know. So just being like that close, like that, even that sounds kind of weird, but like being that close to him, like it was just yeah, very very surreal. But interesting. The interesting thing that happened was, so I was recording the game and stuff on my phone, like, my battery just, like, so low. I was like, "Okay, I'm probably not gonna be able to record, like, everything from this game."
Right.
But towards the end of the game, right, I started making my way towards, like, the gate because like, the seats that I had was kind of right behind, the goalposts, and so I started making my way towards where the players enter the locker room, and I was just, like, hanging out there, and I it's funny because, like I said, I was very into sneakers, and I had these, Kobe's that I had them around my neck, like, hoping, like, "Okay, if I run into Kobe, I'm gonna get a signature or whatever."
Nice.
And so, that was sort of like a pipe dream, right? And I was like, "Okay." I was holding out, like, my sneakers or whatever, as the players were going through, I started seeing Kobe, like, Kobe was, like, about to make his way through the hallway, and then I had my sneakers out, and I was like, "Okay, this is ridiculous. He's not gonna stop and, like, sign these sneakers," right? And so I, like, pulled the sneakers back, I put my hand out, and then as he walks by, he pretty much gives me a high five, and, like, that
Oh,
blew my
man.
mind. Yeah, I just still remember being there, and I was just like, "Oh my god, did that just really happen?" And
Whoa.
yeah, it's funny because like, I have footage of it, right? Because there's a kid next to me who was recording it on, like, his Snapchat or something like that, and I saw that he had his phone, and again, my phone died because there was no battery, and I pretty much was like, "Hey, kid, can you, like, send me that footage and just text it to me or whatever so that I could have it?" But, I do have that footage, I could probably, like, post it later on, but it's just funny because in that footage, it's like the kid puts his hand out, but then Kobe completely just misses his hand, and then, like, you can see my hand in, like, the very, very corner, you can, like, barely see it, but, it's yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's so funny because probably had you not put the sneakers up, you might have not gotten a high five.
Exactly, or I should've just, like, dropped them on his head or something, and then he might have just given them back to me.
Oh, man, that is so cool. When you meet your heroes and talk to your heroes, that's just, it's
Yeah, I
nothing
mean,
better.
if I was able to have a conversation with him, like, man, I would be so nervous, like, I don't even know what I would do, but, yeah, if there was any one person I could have, like, dinner or lunch or, like, just meet them and, like, talk to them, it'd probably be Kobe, so
Whoa.
Kobe, if
Yeah.
you're out there listening to this podcast, you already know what to do.
Kobe, Kobe, send us a DM.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Maybe he's a secret toy photographer, you never know. I always wonder, when you see those big accounts that,
Mm.
like, maybe they don't share who they are, like, there's some very secretive people out there in toy photography, and it's not a lot of them, but I'm always like, "Maybe they're a famous person." You ever think that?
Not really, no, I've
No?
never had that thought, but who knows? Like,
Who
it's
knows?
possible, right? It's like, for instance, let's say, like, John Boyega. I've seen it in his story, like, he went to Japan one time, and he had a luggage thing full of, like, toys or whatever. So it's like, what if he was sort of an account like that and he was like taking these ridiculous like toy photos and we just never knew it was John?
Dude, what if dude, John, please come on the podcast. If you are doing photography, please send me a message, man. That's incredible. That would be awesome. I know, and the name escapes me right now, and I know he's probably listening to this because he loves toy photography, but the guy on Scrubs, he started following
Oh,
what's
yeah.
his name?
Donald
Donald Faison, thank
Faison?
you,
Yeah,
thank you. And dude, like, the fact that okay, that kinda opened my mind up to, like, maybe this is more mainstream than I thought. I don't mean that in a negative way, but I'm saying, like, because the fact that he his story is really cool about how he got into toy photography and everything, so maybe who knows? Who knows?
that guy is so talented.
I
Like,
know. I
yeah,
c
just seeing his stop motion stuff, I'm just like, man, I wanna do that so bad, you know?
he actually went to, the Adult Swim what's it called? Robot Chicken, like master class or something.
Yeah,
Right?
he I think he interned there, and I'm sure, like,
Yeah.
his stuff was definitely in some of those episodes.
That's so crazy. That is so crazy, and it's so crazy because he just, had that incredible career, as an actor on Scrubs, and then he goes and does that. It's like, wow, I gotta give props to Mr. Donald Faison.
For sure.
For sure. So, this is a fun question I love to ask people when they come on the podcast. Are you more interested in the process of doing photography, like toy photography, or are you more interested in the posting and the engagement? Like, what is your kind of, views on that?
Um, I think for me, I mean, obviously, I definitely love, like, the process and stuff like that. It's I think trying to come up with an idea or trying to do something new and trying to, like, not just post to post, I think just all that, whether it's starting from, like, the idea all the way to how am I gonna do that, all the way to, the editing portion of it, which I think is, like, my favorite part, just seeing that image come to life using, like, Lightroom and Photoshop and stuff. Um, I love that whole process. I think that's what continues to drive me, I guess, to create this sort of stuff, right? But then there's also, once you do post it, it's like like there's people who appreciate it. It's like this community, right? And so just being able to like, you know, I think I want to say like both. I don't know if I could choose just like one side of it, right?
Right.
But I think yeah, obviously, like, the community aspect of it is just feels very different than anything that I've experienced as far as, like, finding a community online with, like, a bunch of strangers and then literally, like, being able to meet them in real life, and I think that is, like, pretty unbelievable, you know?
I agree. It's like a
Um
family almost, like, when you start getting really into toy photography and the people that of course, there's people out there that you don't really want to interact with because they have no intention to interact, but
Mhm.
there are the ones like yourself and, like, the people that come on the podcast who have this great energy, and they have this incredible ability to communicate and to be able to express the love of toy photography, and that to me, like, just being able to do that, it makes you family, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it almost feels like an extended family, and, you know
absolutely. Yeah. No, there's people I talk on here more than I talk to probably in real life, and, like, that is sort of like a testament to just like I mean, we all have like this common thing that we have, but at the same time, it's like it's that thing that really allows us to develop this relationship and we were able to not only talk about toys, but talk about life and just all that stuff. And so it's, I don't know how people really like view it, like whether it's I mean, we're in a digital age now where it's just like you can meet someone from all the way across the world and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Just meeting the guys and talking to the guys that I, talk to every day, I think it just I don't know, it goes to show how much I appreciate this community, you know?
Likewise, man, it is something that I could not imagine myself not being a part of now that it's been a part of my life for, however many years. It's what you put in is what you get out. If you put in, like, like yourself, you're putting in content that you want people to engage with. And not only that, you want to inspire, you want to challenge, especially you challenge me, dude, blow my mind. Um, with some of the things that you're doing. And that in turn, you know what I mean? You're able to get so much out of it because it's that karma thing that you mentioned earlier. It's like if
Mhm.
you want to be a part of this community, it's not exclusive. You know what I mean? It's not just something that you can't be a part of. Anybody can do it. And
For sure.
just having the common decency, of course, of showing people respect, being able to, send a DM respectfully. Anyone's going to share their method if in this community, especially the people on this podcast, send them a DM, and they'll get back to you, man, and they'll tell you how to do it.
I
Uh,
think, like, anybody. Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
no, 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 go ahead.
Just like, this community, I think it's it's a lot more welcoming. I mean, it's not like there's other communities that I've, been very deeply a part of or whatever, but I
I
think from
agree.
my experience, it's like, if there is somebody that you wanna talk to or reach out to, I feel like for the most part, these people are going to open up and tell you about, how they got started or just give tips or whatever it is. So, I feel like, yeah, a majority is, like, very positive and all that good stuff. There's gonna be some people who are, like, negative Nancy's or, like, whatever, where they're gonna be like, "Oh, the community is not what it was anymore," and all that kinda stuff, and to me, it's just more like the community is sorta like who you surround yourself with and, like, who you're gonna talk to on a daily basis and the people that you're actually going to, interact with, right? And, like, that's sort of like the community that I sort of wanna be around, the people that are positive and stuff like that, and so that's what the community is to me. It's like, I'm not if you're gonna be like all these, these people who are spreading sort of like toxicity or anything like that, like, you're not doing anything for everyone, right? So, I just kind of view it as like, okay, these are the people I'm gonna surround myself with, and, that's who I'm gonna call my community.
Dude, that is a mastermind philosophy, and I just gotta say mic drop after that because that's exactly right. That saying, "Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you the next 5 years of your life." And if you're surrounding yourself with people who are great at what they do and love what they do in this community and are pushing themselves, dude, you're gonna get better too. And it's just
Mhm.
a collaborative process, man. That's an amazing, amazing comment. I'm gonna have to listen to that one again, Mr. Nose Rain. It's awesome. Um, so I'm curious, how long does it take for you to get a shot that you've got in your mind? Okay.
Mhm.
You've got it, specifically laid out and you have an idea and inspiration. How long does it take to get from your mind to shooting and then to posting?
Man, I mean, obviously, it depends on how crazy that setup might be, and, there's some shots that are a lot simpler, I feel like, and I'm trying to think, like, if I was to think of a concept, I'll essentially already have a visual in my head of what it would look like. It's just a matter of, okay, how am I gonna sort of execute that? And obviously that's gonna have its own challenges. I don't know. If is there like, let's see if there's a photo that I can, pick out and
Sure.
sort of figure out
We could
that
just
way.
say your hyper real series you've been doing. Let's choose that.
Okay. So this the hyperreal stuff, it was sort of like a collab, right, between like Black Series with Pix, and Work More or Less. I want to say like we all sort of planned to do multiple images, and I know for sure like I wanted to think of something that might be a little like that is more conceptual, and so that was like the first image that I posted, with like the stormtroopers sort of working on this bigger Vader or whatever.
Right.
And I think honestly, it's like if I think thinking about the concept is probably gonna take the longest because even like I guess once I get that figure, it's like I'm already trying to think of something, or maybe it's something that I've already thought of and like I need to get a specific figure. But for that one, it took a few days to sort of come up with like what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, so once I have the idea, it's like, okay, now how am I gonna, execute it? And I think just doing like the setup and stuff usually doesn't take like too long. Like I want to say maybe like getting, the poses and like doing all that stuff might have taken like, 30 to 45 minutes or whatever it is just to get it right or whatever, making sure the cape is, looking a certain way and all that, and sort of setting it up around, this diorama, which I got from the Chris Lyons. Awesome, awesome diorama guy. He's
Oh, yeah.
like sick. Yeah. But I got that and I realized, okay, I'm gonna use this for like all the shots that I do. But yeah, I think once I got it there, it's mostly just like setting up the lights and making sure like I like how the light is hitting the figures, making sure like, okay, this side is like, there's too much shadow on this side, so let's bring in like a reflector and just all that kind of stuff. And so like once it's there, the shot obviously doesn't take that long. You take the shot, you take a couple shots, use some atmosphere or so. I typically shoot a lot of different takes just to make sure like, I have some options.
Nice.
And then from there, it's like I think editing is sort of what takes up a lot of the time as well. I want to say that the editing for that specific one where they're building the Vader, usually like an hour to maybe more, depending. I mean, there wasn't like too much like editing stuff that I really needed to do. Like there wasn't like a lightsaber or anything or things that I had to take out. So that
What
one
software were you
probably
using on that one? I'm curious.
so I always go through Lightroom first and I'll do all like my color grading and all that kind of stuff there. And then I'll typically take it into Photoshop and sort of, take out the things, take out like wires if I have wires in the shot, or like, clean up like the dust, or like if there's certain marks on the figure's head or like whatever, like I'll try to like clean it up in Photoshop. So it's mainly just those two
Gotcha.
softwares that I use. Yeah.
I know you're a
Mhm.
big Peter McKinnon fan, and I saw in one of your stories one time that you were basically sending out a request, kind of like he did,
Yeah.
where you're able to edit people's photos. And I thought that was so cool, man.
That's
And
fun.
that kind of showed your process and able to break down how you edit photos. And you said that one, the hyperreal one, where he kind of looks like he's being built, only took you an hour. So that was a pretty simple edit. You said.
Yeah, it was a simple edit again because there wasn't anything that I had to really take out. It was mostly just like cleaning up, and then, in Lightroom, it's, trying to get the colors how I want to do how I want it. And a lot of that is just kind of like experimenting as well. It's like what tone do I want to get in this and all that stuff. But yeah, shout out to Peter McKinnon, like his content is fire.
Yeah,
You
Peter.
know? Like, yeah, I mean, to be honest, though, I haven't, like, kept up with, like, his recent stuff too much, but I know for sure, like, that guy makes some incredible content at, like, supreme quality, you know?
Dude, I
He's
just
so
turn
good in
on
front of the camera.
he is. I turn on Peter McKinnon whenever I need a boost. If I just need a little bit of oomph, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
I kinda, like, took his mentality, at the beginning, the "What's up, you guys?"
Yeah.
I don't wanna totally bite his style, but I love Peter McKinnon, so, yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to Peter.
It's so funny that you mentioned that thing that I did, inspired off of his, like, editing people's photos thing, 'cause I did that one and I was just like, "Man, it's a lot of work."
It
So
is.
yeah,
It
and it's definitely I haven't done one since that first one, but, I do wanna jump back into that and, like, actually do it through, like, a video maybe or something, just because I felt like, trying to save out the photos and, like, all that kinda stuff and typing out exactly, like, what I was doing, like, it was just taking up a lot of time, so I might have to switch up the format.
And you could do it on the Instagram, the video format now where you can watch the movies and stuff. I don't really get on there as much as everybody else does, but
The IGTV stuff?
yeah, the IGTV. Is that going do you follow that stuff? Because I definitely don't.
I mean, I've seen people, like, share that on their profiles, but I no, that's not something that I've really, like, dived into. I know Jason, Work More or Less, he uses that for his
Oh,
behind
yeah.
the scenes and stuff, yeah, but
Yeah.
I haven't really dived too much into that.
That'd be a cool outlet to be able to do that, those editing those photos. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or YouTube, of course, and then you can make money. There you go.
True.
So, we're gonna take a quick break, and we will get back to the Toy Photographers podcast right in a second. The ToyPhotoCast is now a part of the Exclude Collective network. Go to excludecollective.com to get all of your action figure news, tutorials, and everything you need to be able to be a part of this incredible community. That's excludecollective.com. Peace. Let me get back into it. Let me get the mentality here. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to the Toy Photographers Podcast. This is the Nose Rain episode, the episode you have been waiting for. What's up, Richie? Welcome back.
What's going on, guys?
It's good to have you back, man. The first part was amazing. I know I personally learned a lot, and I'm so glad to be able to get to know you better because the content that you produce, man, like I've said before, it's amazing. And you're even a more incredible person to be able to talk to and get to pick your brain. So I'm gonna jump right back into it, man. I know I've asked this to multiple people, but I love to ask this question. And it's a loaded question. But do you see yourself as an influencer? And how does it affect you as an artist having that big a following?
It's interesting, man. Well, I'm trying to answer that question. Am I an influencer? Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess in some ways, right? It's like there's gonna be people who ask, like, I guess how I do certain things or like where I got certain things, and I've had people tell me like, "Oh, I bought this figure because of the way that you shot it," and like things like that. But I don't know. As far as, like, influence, a huge influence, I don't really know. I don't really see the effects of that really.
Really?
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, what would be, like, an example that you would give if you were I
I
don't know.
guess, like, people, when they mention, toy photographers, they mention the big heavy hitters like the Sergeant Bananas, the Avenat,
Mhm.
and I always mention you. I know I throw you in that ring. So to me, I look at it as someone that is you are very influential in the toy photography community, even being so fresh and new, a new face. But your content, man, dude, I'm telling you, man, like the stuff that you post, it really does kind of change the way people view toy photography because you're so unique and so creative. And I always learn from your pace. So I see it as a positive thing, man.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, like, the different types of posts that I like to do, it's like what you were saying. It's trying to do things that are a little different and try to think a little differently about some of the stuff so that it, whether it sticks out or just it's not necessarily that I'm trying to create like my own style per se. Like I'm not going into each photo or whenever I'm thinking about a specific like shot that I want to do. I'm not saying like how can I make this feel like a nose range shot, I guess.
Right.
And I think what the more that people, like, see my stuff, they might be like, "Oh, this is a nose ring shot," or whatever, but for me, it's more like, I'm just trying to, like, get this idea out, and a lot of times it's whatever's current or whatever style of shooting that I'm doing right now is I guess that's the form it's gonna take, but I don't really see myself striving for, like, "Oh, I gotta make sure, like, this is, like, my style, like, kinda thing, because I feel like it's just constantly evolving. I feel like I learned so much from, like, the different people in the toy community, people outside of even toys and stuff, like design or illustrators, just, anything that I can get inspiration from, I feel like that's gonna sort of filter through, and I guess that's how, like, my image is gonna, show itself, right?
Nice. Yeah, and it's funny that you're able to take outside influences and kind of marry them into toy photography because I've noticed that you do that a lot and kind of conceptually when I see your shots, you have an idea. And like you said, you really don't go for maybe the aesthetic or maybe like the nose rain feel, but you do have a very distinct style, and I think that does translate regardless of the content that you're doing, and I think that's a positive. I think because it's any artist, as they progress and as they get better, it's just it's your way of storytelling. It's your way of
Mhm.
presenting a message. Even like the most recent one that you posted with the Power Rangers and they're plugged into the lightning. It took me a second to realize. I was like, okay, what's going on here? And then I realized, oh, lightning collection. Oh, they're plugged into the Apple thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so frustrating. And like, it's that thought process when I see your shots that makes me go, I don't know. It makes me just like really enjoy it. So I think maybe you undersell yourself a little bit, and you're a very creative individual, and I think you deserve a pat on the back, my friend. So I think it's incredible the stuff that you do. So
Thank you, man. My stuff has definitely changed, just even the look of it since, like, I started, obviously, I don't know, I think like, when I started doing more of, like, the conceptual stuff, it was trying to go back to, like, why did I even like toy photography in the first place? Like, it was, I think, when I had to think about that and, go back to, like, starting to do things that were more fun, or, like, a lot of, like, my influence also comes from, like, there's this designer, illustrator, artist guy named Ollie Moss. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he does a lot of, like, really cool posters with Mondo, and I'm sure he does posters with, like, other people and design work with other people. But, just like his stuff, when you see his work, there's always this little nugget or something, and you try to figure out, like, what the concept is in his images, because he's able to marry it so well with, like, design. Yeah, so it's sorta like that thinking and having, like, that sort of clairvoyance, because I want someone to, like, look at my stuff and be like, "Oh, I get it," like, that kinda thing, and, like, have that moment where they make that realization, and it's because of influences like Ollie Moss, or even, like, one of my favorite, if not my favorite accounts on Instagram is, this guy named Tanaka Tatsuya, and I think his Instagram is Tanaka_Tatsuya, but he does, like, amazing miniature photography with, like, everyday objects, and just the way that he sees things, like these everyday objects, and, like, how he can put them together with these miniature, like, figures, whether they're, action figures, or, like, those little, like, architecture model figures. But he does it so well to when you just see it, you're just like, "Wow, that is, like, super clever," and it's amazing, like, that he can do that, and just do it so constantly, like, that's literally all he puts out. There's not really a post that he has that's really dull, and trying to think about, my shots more, and, like, having more of, like, that conceptual aspect to it, that's sort of, like, where that started to come from, and, when the more you, I guess, try to come up with different ideas that way, it's obviously a challenge, and that's, like, the fun part of it too. It's like, what's that next idea? Like, where can I make that sort of connection in, like, pop culture, whatever it is, like, whatever, gets it to that idea, like, how am I gonna execute that with, like, toys? And I think that's, like, the very, very, like, fun part for me, and being able to do that.
that's amazing. That is amazing, man. I have a interesting question that I've just started recently incorporating into the podcast. Do you have a grail shot that maybe you haven't done yet? I know we talked about Peter McKinnon and he got that bucket
Oh,
shot
yeah.
he wanted. And do you have a shot in your mind that maybe you haven't done yet? Or maybe you have done it that this is like the end all be all shots. Is that, do you kind of view toy photography like that? Do you have a shot that you haven't done yet, maybe?
I mean, I don't I don't think, I mean, like, it's weird, like, this is gonna be a lame answer, but it's like, I don't I don't think I have, like, a grail shot like that. I feel like I don't know what that next idea is, and I don't currently have, like, an image in my mind of something that I would like to execute or whatever. So, currently, I feel like I don't have, like, a grail shot. Like, do you have a grail shot that you wanna do?
I've got a lot, actually. I've got a lot. It's kind of hard to narrow it down. I I guess if it wouldn't be considered a grail shot if it was many, but there is definitely some shots in my mind that I would have to build a diorama set. I would have to like, it would take months to be able to
Okay, I
do.
see.
Yeah, I'm talking like when I talked to Tom, I had a
Mhm.
Watu recently,
Yeah.
and he has a grail shot that you'll be able to hear on his episode,
Mhm.
and dude, it's massive. I mean, it's just an incredible scale, like, I mean, just Hot Toys figures galore, just like
Wow.
it's a grail shot that he's like, "I've been thinking about this for a long time." So I was just curious maybe if you have one.
Gotcha. I guess I never thought about it. I mean, maybe I'll think about it and get back to you on that,
Okay.
'cause that would be fun to think about.
I think, like, I wouldn't even say this is, like, because the grail is always moving. You know what I mean? Like that shot that you're always wanting to get, like, for, sports athletes, winning the Super Bowl is like the grail. You know what I mean? And then you
Mhm.
you win the Super Bowl, it's like, okay, what next? So
Right.
that shot probably would lead to another grail shot. So I don't think it'd be probably the end all be all. But I think one of mine actually I have done recently on my personal account, which I was a grail shot for me. Didn't even pass 200 likes, but I to me it's one of my favorite shots is the one with Han Solo in the smuggler's retreat, and he's just
Mhm.
propped up, just chilling, just looking like a boss. And to me, I am so proud of that shot, and I know that I created every aspect of that shot. And I got, blessed to be able to send me Loom Cube sent me a light, and that's something that I was able to use in that shot, and it's just, man, I just love that shot. Like, I go back to it all the time and say I pinch myself. I'm like, "Wow, I'm so happy with it." And I know a lot of people have done that shot with the Smuggler's Retreat, but for me, I always wanted my own stamp on it, and so that to me is like one of the grail shots that I've always wanted to do,
Is
and I
that
did.
the one with, SH Figure Arts Han Solo
It
that you're
is.
talking about with his
It
foot
is.
on the
Yes, sir.
table?
It is, and I've done multiple versions of that shot. I'm trying to get to that one, and that is to me personally, that is the end all be all Han Solo
Mhm.
Smuggler's Retreat shot for myself. And I end up going to blow up that shot and put it on my wall, hopefully soon. So
That's so awesome that, you have this project in mind and you set out to go and do it and create, like, literally create, the smuggler's retreat for yourself, and not only for yourself, but, like, for anybody else, right? And I think that's just so awesome that you have this idea and instead of needing to go necessarily, like, buy it, but, like, create it for yourself, like, that's mad props to you, dude.
thank you, man. Yeah, I can't take all the credit. I got to throw, Figureworks out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Edson, dude, I mean, he designed the thing from, the bottom up. He helped me with the process. I just kind of put the money where the mouth is kind of thing and made the thing. And it's a collaborative process. And then Jason Yang, I say Young, I pronounced it wrong. Let me say it right. Jason Young,
Mhm.
he helped me a lot in the way too and gave me some great tips. It's a collaborative process. And that thing, man, I pinch myself all the time knowing that people use that thing all the time and it's something they love and enjoy and it's very surreal. You know what it's like, I can't take credit for it. George Lucas made, that
Mhm.
entire thing, but it's fun. It really is. And I hope that I hope that everybody can have that feeling one day, being able to say, "Wow, like I did this. People can enjoy it." And I think that's as a toy photographer, that happens all the time. Maybe we don't see it that way, but I think we all can kind of glean
Mhm.
inspiration from your account for sure. Do you have any pinch me moments in your career as a toy photographer? Like, do you say, "Wow, did that actually happen? I can't believe that happened."
I feel like there's definitely been moments like that where when you get like 100 followers, you're just like, "Holy crap, I have 100 followers," and it's like, I think depending on the at what point, I can definitely say there have been moments. I wanna say, like, the one of the very first ones was, like, I think it was Hot Toy or not Hot Toys, Hot Wheels. They, like, reposted one of my photos, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, my photo got reposted by Hot Wheels," like, on their
Wow.
official page, and I think there's been moments where I'm just like, "Whoa, this is crazy." It's just, like, obviously the amount of, like, people who follow my work. I think there was a moment when, yeah, Pixar reposted one of my photos too, and
What?
that was yeah, that to me still is like, holy crap, like, for Pixar to, this company that I admire so much, for the storytelling that they do and all that stuff to even, like, see anything that I've done, to be able to share that with their audience and stuff was pretty mind-blowing. Um,
I didn't even know that they did that. That's incredible.
yeah,
Wow.
it was a while ago. I wanna say that was, like, around when I had, like, 1,700 followers or something like that.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, and
That's so cool.
yeah, it's interesting. And what else? There's quite a few. It's like every step of the way there I feel like there's always something that I'm just like, "Holy crap, like, how is this happening?" kinda thing, you know?
Isn't
Um,
it weird that Instagram connects people that way? Like, just you could be just a random dude, South America, living in a hut,
right.
and, you got Instagram and you can connect with people in the across the world. It's amazing. It's just so cool.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. And, I think it's amazing when, like, people can find your work and, like, I mean, they start supporting you, or it's also for me, I feel like a lot of, like my journey, I guess, if you wanna say it that way, it's been me sort of, like, pushing myself to get these opportunities as well, you know? It's like, you can't just be sitting here hoping that someone's gonna reach out to you or whatever, and, like, you can't be like, "Oh, why am I not, like, getting these opportunities like other people?" It's like, you can't really feel sorry for yourself. You kinda just need to continue to do the work, and hopefully you're, prepared to sort of, like, take on those opportunities as they, like, present themselves. And for me, it's I don't know, I think one of the ones that was really crazy was, when I got my work on to StarWars.com, and, like, it was, like, an article that was written by, Amy Ratcliffe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but for that opportunity, again, it wasn't anybody reaching out to me, it was, like, me sort of, like, talking to them, and then that sort of, like, spurring into, like, an article, right? And so I think a lot of times you just need to, like, put yourself out there and just make sure that you believe in the work that you're doing and for other people to see it, because not everyone's gonna see the stuff that you're putting out, right?
That's true.
Like, it's just, like, a chance that somebody might see it, so if you're more active in, like, pushing your work out there, I think that's gonna give you those opportunities as well, so
That's amazing, man. I take such a big inspiration from the fact that you're able to go and you have the balls to be able to go up and support yourself and believe in yourself enough to be able to do that because it takes a lot of guts. And, you know, I struggle with that. I'll be honest. Sometimes everybody's their own worst critic, and you say maybe my stuff isn't good enough, even though I can look back and I've got big moments too, and I'm like, wow, did that really happen? And everybody, even the people that have the biggest followings, they doubt themselves. Like they go through moments of insecurity, and it's being able to conquer those thoughts and being able to, like, rein them in and say, "Okay, no, I know I'm good enough. I know I can do this," and then just pressing through. I mean, I love that you're able to do that.
yeah, man, it's all a process, right? It's like, if you're working hard into creating these photos and stuff, and I don't know, for whatever reason, if you're just like, "Man, my stuff, like, is not getting recognized," and all that stuff, like, sure, you can, again, like, sulk and all that and just be like, "Well, why isn't anybody seeing, like, my work? Blah, 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 blah," you know? It's
Right.
I feel like, I wanna encourage those people to, like, really, I guess, reflect sort of, and just I guess it's more like reflecting on why you're doing it, and, like, if you're not having fun just creating, I think that's sort of like a red flag too in some ways, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, I think just continue to push yourself and trying to, like, make, like, good work and all that. I think it's just all, like, a process, like, it's a journey that it's gonna take time, obviously, and stuff like that, so it's I think persistence and being consistent and literally, like, absorbing like a sponge and talking to people and just trying to improve your craft, I think that's gonna show fruit eventually.
Definitely, definitely. And you just hit the nail on the coffin there because I was actually gonna ask you that exact question, and you went ahead and answered it, so that's amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and ask you this. I'm very curious on your methodology in the way you view yourself on your lifestyle. Like, do you have like a regimen of like exercise? I know you're big into sports. Like, do you keep up with mental fitness? Like, what do you do to kind of keep yourself having an edge and being able to use that in your career and also your toy photography?
Well, for, like, physical exercise or physical health, I would it's funny, like, I used to play basketball pretty often, but I haven't really done anything, like, recently to, stay in good, like, physical shape or anything like that. But when it comes to, how toy photography relates to, like, mental health and all that stuff, like, everybody has different stresses in their life, and I think it's always great to have some kind of outlet, and toy photography is one of mine. but definitely having something like that where you can sort of escape a little bit or, just embrace something that you really, really enjoy. And when you're doing it, like, time just flies by and it's just something you really, really just envelop yourself in. And I want to say that toy photography is definitely that for me because not only is it like something that I can do, but it's something that I'm thinking about as well. And it's like something that excites me even when I think about it. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I could say like, yeah, I play basketball every day. I'm in really good shape.
Hey, I went through a phase, about a year ago when I was absolutely had no interest in doing any physical activity, and I think everybody goes to an ebb and flow in finding their things that make them function better as a human being. So,
Mhm.
you gotta find your like you said, your mental health. I think toy photography is kind of your mental health in the way that you, help yourself as a human being, and it's an amazing avenue. It can encourage you and it can inspire you. It can also make you laugh, cry, the whole 9 yards.
For sure, yeah.
And, that's awesome, man. So do you I wanna ask you this. Do you have any favorite food? Are you a foodie? Do you have any, like, favorite cuisine that you like?
Um, I love, like, cheeseburgers, man, like, it's, like, a
Nice.
very simple food, but it's, like yeah, for me, it's funny, like, my parents, they actually run a restaurant, and it's more like a diner style, but they do have, like, burgers, they have, like, hot dogs and all that kinda stuff. But, yeah, I don't know what it is, like, I mean, I love, like, just the simplicity of it, I think, it's like when I don't like the super complicated burgers, and it's funny, like, had this conversation with, Isaiah, Black Series,
Yeah.
and, it's funny, like, how I always ask him, like, "Hey, what's your favorite whatever it is?" And then he's just like, "Dude, like, I don't have favorite anythings because it's like it's always different depending on whatever, whatever," and, like, I mean, I agree, but then it's also like, okay, what is your favorite thing right now? So I'll sorta like spin it that way, but yeah, I don't
Nice.
do I have a favorite burger right now? I don't know if I do, but I do like Shake Shack burger over In-N-Out. Do you like
Really?
In-N-Out? Have you had
I
In-N-Out?
love In-N-Out.
In-N-Out is good. It's good for sure. Like I'm not hating on it and it's like super cheap
Yep.
and all that stuff, but I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I haven't tried, the Shake Shack. I know I've got one here in Lexington. We actually it's sad, man, that you mentioned In-N-Out. We don't have the wonderful In-N-Out burger over here in this part of the world. I wanna say that the closest In-N-Out is, like, in Texas, I think. So, yeah, it's really sad, honestly, because I love In-N-Out.
I
Uh,
think yeah,
but
I mean, I'm from the East Coast, so I never had In-N-Out until, like, I think it was, like, 2015 was when the first time I had it, and I just remember hearing, like, so much, like, talk about it and, like,
oh, yeah.
how good it was and stuff, and, um,
It's
I
the king
think
of fast food, man. It's the king.
I mean, yeah, for sure, it's really good, it's super cheap, like I said, and, I don't know, I think it was just, like, overhyped for me. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I could see that. And you know what's funny? Like whenever anything gets overhyped, you have this incredibly high
Yeah,
expectation, and it's almost
true.
impossible to live up to unless you're eating like a Gordon Ramsay burger or something like that.
Right. But at the
Um,
same time, it's like, how good can a burger get? And that's why I try to
hey,
compare burgers with, like not trying to, like, overcomplicate it with the toppings and stuff like that. I try to just, go pretty simple,
yep.
with it, and, I mean, like I said, it's good for sure.
Do you make your own burgers?
I don't, but I wanna start doing it.
Dude, do it. Okay,
Yes.
I got a new method. I actually make my own burgers. I do it probably once a week. And I got this from Gordon Ramsay. I'm a big Gordon Ramsay fan. He's like my Kobe Bryant to you. So like I'm always following Gordon Ramsay. I'm a huge Gordon Ramsay fan.
He's so
And
funny.
he's so funny, dude. He, makes this burger. It's kind of like the non-traditional way. Make the patty, use a certain type of, a grind. Of course, you gotta get the right ratio of fat
Mhm,
to, protein. And then what I do is I will put the ingredients in the beef. So I'll put like garlic or I'll put salt and I'll just mash it in there and I'll make the burger by hand. I used to actually work at a meat department, so I'm very fluent in knowing how to do these things.
mhm.
And then I will flatten the patty out. I'll kinda make like almost like a German style burger, So, like, you know how in Germany when they flatten out the patties, almost
Mhm.
make like a schnitzel,
S
and so
Smash burger,
a
pretty
smash
much?
burger, yep, yep, and very much like a smash burger, and then I will throw it on the cast iron skillet, and I will throw it on medium heat for 35 seconds on each side, and then
Mhm.
I'll toss it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 5 minutes, and then it comes out
Dang.
this beautiful pink, delicious burger, and if you wanna throw cheese on it, you wanna throw anything else on it, you can, but I just eat it just basically just a little bit of mayo, slice of tomato, lettuce, and then boom, you're ready to go. And I like to switch it up with my bread. So sometimes I'll do just a simple whole wheat bun, or maybe I'll do like a brioche bun, and I'll usually use the cast iron to toast the bun.
That sounds amazing,
Uh,
and I want a burger now.
Dude, come on
Thank
over.
you.
I'll make you burger. It's so good, so good. If I were to say, out of all my favorite shots of yours, man, kinda transitioning back to toy
Mhm.
photography,
Let's just talk
what
about burgers.
you wanna talk about you can. We totally can. I don't we could make this a burger podcast if you wanted to, man. I
It's
can geek
officially a
out
burger
on
podcast now.
dude, this is the sponsored by Kobe beef. It's have you seen those burgers, man? Have you seen how
Mm.
expensive they are? Those Kobe beef burgers?
I mean, I don't no, I don't think I've seen, like, any Kobe beef burgers actually, but I know that the Kobe beef is, like, super expensive.
One of those Kobe beef burgers, I wanna say, is, like, upwards of $1,000 per burger, and I don't even know why they're so expensive, but they don't even look that appetizing. I don't know
It's
what
just
the
the way that they take care of the cows and how they
uh,
feed them, and it's I don't know,
I'm
it
sure it's
must be
good.
something.
I don't know if it's $1,000
It's
good.
definitely not that good.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're on a budget and you're saying, like, you know, "What's the best burger on a budget?" I definitely wouldn't recommend the Kobe beef burger.
Nope.
It's crazy. Have you seen those YouTube videos where they go and they, like, break down all, like, the most expensive burgers and stuff?
I know that there was a show on BuzzFeed where it was it called, like, Worth It or something? And they did different categories of whatever they were eating, and it was from, like, the least expensive to the most expensive. Is that what you're talking about? Or
Maybe. I just kinda scroll through YouTube, and sometimes I'll see whatever's the most eye-catching video, but I like to watch the ones that are, like, breaking down the Gordon Ramsay burgers versus, like, the McDonald's burgers, and just kinda, like,
right.
using real in-depth cross sections and saying,
Mhm.
this amount of ingredients versus this amount. It's stupid. It's fun.
I need to look into that because I feel like for me to critique any burger, I feel like I need to at least make it myself, you know?
Dude, I'm so glad that you're a burger fan because 'cause I'm a huge burger fan too. Like,
So good.
I don't know what I'd do if I didn't go a week without a burger, honestly. I don't think my life would feel as meaningful.
Yeah, totally.
Yep, it's a beautiful thing, cheeseburgers. One of my most favorite shots recently that you have done is of the Doctor Strange one when he is, like, inside this little, fortune teller box, and he's, like,
Yeah,
doing this little thing where he's telling the future. I love that concept so much, man. That was such a cool shot, and,
thank you.
you know, the thought process behind it, man, I'm curious, like, what got you into that shot? What made you think of it?
Sometimes, like, I'll just walk around, like, whether it's Target or Barnes& and Noble, whatever it is, there's always those sections that you walk through and you try to find, I guess, like, the next shot idea that you wanna do, or, like that's the same for me when I'm walking through Target and I'm, like, walking past the board game section or something, and, something will spark an idea or whatever, and that's pretty much how this one sort of came to be too. Was I was walking around in Barnes& and Noble, and I noticed this, like, fortune teller, Zoltan, whatever thing there, and I was like, "That seems pretty interesting, like, what can I do with this?" And I think the first thing that came to mind was, like, Doctor Strange, right? And,
Nice.
it was just him being able to, like, look into the future and that sort of concept, and so I felt like it fit pretty well. And I think the challenge there was to essentially take out what was existing in the actual booth and like, take that out and then make sure that the Doctor Strange could fit in there without, like, breaking the whole thing. And so, I'm glad it, like, actually worked out where he would, just sit right in there, and I think the rest is just filling out the set and adding these other Avengers in there and stuff, and really being able to, like, sort of sell that shot a little bit more by adding, a background and all that, and, there's little details in there, like having Spider-Man on the top of it, and, Drax eating, like, some chips and stuff like
Dude,
that.
that
That's
pose you have on Drax, man, is perfect. It's like, I'm looking at Drax, I was literally about to say, his posing is amazing, like, because it reminds me of that one scene in Infinity
right,
War when he's, like, trying to be silent.
exactly, yeah.
So good.
And it's sorta yeah, it's trying to find sort of like those details, and a lot of times those details don't show themselves until I'm actually working on, like, the actual like, setting up the scene and stuff, so,
Right.
like, the Drax like, that Marvel Legends figure, Drax's mouth is, like, open, he has, like, more of a screaming face, and I didn't want that face to be there, so I had to, like, figure out a way to sort of hide it, and that's why I put his hand up there as if he's eating, like, the chips or whatever.
It's genius.
And, yeah, it's, like, little stuff like that that I try to pay attention to when I'm creating a shot, but a lot of times it's there's some things that'll sort of escape me, and I'll notice it after I post it, but yeah.
Dude, another one that I absolutely adore that you've done recently, and I constantly think about this shot, is the King Kong Mezco, shot you did with all of those little blocks.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I love that shot. I love that shot. That shot is so
Thank you,
freaking
man.
cool, man. I remember when you posted it, and I was just like, "That is so freaking out of the box and so cool," and I know it's not, like, your most number 1 like shot, but it's like, to me, that was, like, kind of made me realize your thought process on toy photography and just the marrying of, like, this is toys versus this is photography at the same time.
Yeah.
I just love it, dude. I really do. I could talk about it all day long. I love that shot.
Yeah, it's interesting, it's like, now that I'm looking back at it and, I'm looking at it right now on my screen, and it's like, I remember the idea, like, again, I think it was during that time I was doing, like I think it was the Godzilla shot.
Mhm.
I wanna say that was that before? I think yeah, so the Godzilla shot was with the Battleship game, and it was, I was trying to find, like, okay, once I was in, like, the board game section, are there other games that I could sort of use in some of my shots? And I think that's where, like, the whole Jenga thing came about. And when I was first thinking of this shot, it was like I only had that Jenga built and then, like, King Kong on top of it, and that's sort of what sold me on, like, purchasing the Jenga and, like, trying to create a shot. And it wasn't until, I was actually setting it up and stuff, I wanted to fill it out, and I think I did have, like, these other woodblock things as you see in the photo,
Yeah.
and, I was like, "Oh, I can use this for, like to sort of make it look like other buildings and things like that." I had purchased those not specifically for this shot, but again, it was like, how can I fill out this shot or, like, use something that I already have to sort of, like, build it out, and that's sort of, like, how all these little details started to come together in the shot.
Dude, it's amazing. I'm watching the behind the scenes right now, and, like, even, like, the way you laid out the the bricks, and it made it look like a little city, and just the thought process, man, it was just, ugh, I love it. I don't know why I love that shot so much, I just do. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's just really fun to sort of not have the whole idea complete and just kinda, like, run with it, and, like, a lot of the fun is trying to figure out, like, okay like, during the shot, as you're setting up, I feel like when you start to get these ideas there, it's like, "Oh, that would be really cool if you could do this," or, like, you know, have, like,
Right.
these little tanks in there. I need to go get little tanks or, like I think in this shot, I wanted to also have helicopters, but I couldn't find anything that
Oh, that
was
would've been
in
off the chain,
the
dude.
scale.
Like, it reminds me of, like, a Pixar kind of, Toy Story vibe, and I think
Mhm.
that's why I loved it so much. I was like, "This feels like Toy Story." It feels like something you'd be watching on a movie.
I love Toy Story. So
Oh,
good.
so good. I haven't seen the new one. Have you seen the new one?
I have, yeah. It's
Is it
good.
good? Is
Yeah,
it?
I think it comes out on digital or Blu-ray in 3 days,
Oh, wow.
so
That's very timely, actually. Huh.
I
Wow.
recommend it.
And then I've got to mention this because I am a massive Cowboy Bebop fan. When you did that shot with Spike in
Mhm.
the NECA set, and he's just walking through this back alley, and he's got a cigarette lit, and you went all in on that shot. Did you like I think you like burned his hand or something, didn't you?
I did burn his hand. Yeah.
Ah,
That was unfortunate. But
man.
I
It was
think
worth it though.
yeah, it was, it's funny, like, when you start to use, like, different techniques, you're obviously learning on the go too, until, like, you're obviously used to it, and I think with this, it was a product given to me by, who is it? Scarpix? And I forgot what their account name is, like, Caravan, um, I don't know. I can't think of it right now.
That's alright.
But, Impressive Plastic might be the other guy who runs it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah, I wanna say it's SCR Picks.
Is it
I'm pretty sure.
Corellian Caravan, I think, is, like,
That
their
sounds
uh,
right.
yeah, so they're making these little miniature accessories and things like that, and they reached out and asked if I wanted some, of these, like, cigarettes. I was like, "Sure, I'll definitely love to try it," just because it seems really interesting trying to light, like, a 1/12 scale, um, cigarette.
Right.
And yeah, so like doing that, I knew that it was gonna be a learning curve to try to figure out, okay, how can I get this wisp of smoke to look like real and stuff like that? And it was pretty tricky, I would say, because it doesn't like really it doesn't burn the way that you would think, and it actually goes by very, very fast. And that's the reason why I burnt his finger off.
Ah,
So, I noticed that the trick to get it to just start smoking is to blow it out before, it gets too far,
gotcha.
and then once it's blown out, it's sort of like, has that smoke effect.
So
Uh
that's a practical smoke effect right there that she had going
Yeah.
on.
Mhm.
Okay. That's amazing. And I noticed that you got, like, just incredible amount of detail with, like, the cats, and, like, there's one cat, like, is it eating something? I can't even tell what it's doing.
Yeah, so I found these little cats, I don't know where it was. It might have been at Barnes& and Noble again. Sometimes I'll go to these stores just to see what I can find. And, Barnes& and Noble has, like, this, section where they have, like, a lot of things from Japan, and I
Yeah.
think these were, like, some blind boxes from there, and there was, like, a cat playing some drums on, like, some tuna cans or something, and then there's another cat who has a microphone. I don't know if it's an actual microphone or if it's some other thing that is acting as one.
Right.
But yeah, he's, like, standing on a box and, like, singing, but I felt like it was because, Spike is part of the anime world, like, these little cats who are, playing instruments or whatever sort of tie in or can tie in to, like, that whole vibe.
Perfectly. Yeah, it perfectly ties in. Dude, that are you a fan of that show? Because I feel like you are.
I watched it, like, a long time ago, so, like, for me, I can't remember a whole lot of it, to be honest with
Ah,
you,
man.
but I've heard so many great things about it, and I do need to go back and watch it.
Since you have that figure, and it's funny because 'cause I'm such a big fan, I don't even own that figure yet. I don't even know why I haven't picked up that figure, but you need to go back and watch that show, man. It is I know it's been hailed as the top anime of all time, but it's rightfully so. It is amazing. If anybody who's out there wants a good anime, Cowboy
Mhm.
Bebop, like, hands
Yeah,
down.
I've heard some really, really good stuff about it, and, like, I guess to me, it's just, like, the character design was just cool,
Yeah.
and, like, I think the likeness, they nailed it pretty well compared to, in the anime. In the anime, I feel like some of those features are more elongated, I guess, and they might not have nailed it exactly,
Mhm.
but it was, pretty close enough, and I was like, "Man, this is a really cool figure," and I guess, I just wanted to pick it up, and I'll do that, from time to time. It's like, I don't necessarily need to be a fan of this property, and
Sure.
that's sort of like my toy photographer mind coming into play, which, has sort of become a problem lately, but like, as a toy collector, I would probably not have picked this up just because,
That makes sense.
again, as a toy collector, I still do like to collect figures where it's like, I won't necessarily, like, shoot them, but I do like to pick stuff up just because I like the property or the character or whatever, and, like, that I guess, like, my Hot Toys collection is sort of that, because I do have a few Hot Toys, but I don't really shoot them, but
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
That's so cool, man. I'm the same way, and I get like, I recently pre-ordered a couple figures that I don't even know what they're about, but I know that they're cool designs, you know,
Yeah.
and that is the toy photographer in us that kind of, like, thinks out of the box, and just because you don't know that the IP doesn't mean that you can't create something with it, and so that's really
Right.
cool. That's really, really cool.
I'm sure there's people who look down on that or whatever, but to me, it's like if I have an idea and I feel like I need like this figure to sort of make that idea come alive, I'll probably go ahead and try to get it somehow. Yeah, like you were saying, I think it's, if you like the design of something, if like for instance, there's a really cool looking mech out there that you really like, you may not know where it's from, but it's just the design of it in general. I think that's reason enough for you to be able to pick it up.
Exactly, exactly. Being creative people, you don't have to know everything there is to know about a franchise to do a toy photography shot. Like, I think that there's this stigma maybe about, like, for instance, people that do Star Wars toy photography. Like, not
Mhm.
everybody knows everything there is to know about Star Wars. I feel like I know a good bit. I don't know everything there is to know, because some people, message me like, "Oh yeah, do you know how many blaster shots was in this one scene?" I'm like, "No, dude, I don't care. Like, I
Yeah,
really don't
that's
care. Like,
yeah.
that's not gonna help me any." Yeah. It's not gonna help me in any way, and I pride myself on knowing, quite a good bit, but it's at the end of the day, the things that you can gain from those shows and, the fact that you're able to make a shot from your memory. You said you watched
Right.
it when you were a kid, and you're like, dude, to me, I felt like it was straight out of the anime. Like, I looked at it, I actually used it as my wallpaper for a long
Oh, for
time.
real?
Oh, for real. I
Man.
had it as my wallpaper, and I just looked at it all the time. I love that shot. And, I'm just dude, I'm a fan of toy photographers and toy photography in general. Like, I geek out on this stuff, and I consume it all the time. So, like, you guys are like my bread and butter. I'm always into it. Um, I'm looking at another shot right now, that I'm really interested, like, in how you did this lighting, because I've always wanted to ask you this, because in person, when you're seeing it, it looks I'm just amazed. Like, when you did this Goku shot with Majin Buu, and he's, like, going up for, like, maybe, like, a jump shot,
Mhm.
and, how did you light that? Did you use, like, a ceiling light? How did you get the specific lighting for that shot?
Yeah, that shot, I don't usually light my shots that way, and I feel like it shows a little bit
Yeah.
because, where I shot this was, I moved to a new apartment, and there's sort of like this little area that I use as like a studio space,
Mhm.
and in that space, there are like these 3 lights that are on the ceiling, and they're sort of like pointed in different directions a little bit, but they do, have more ambient light, and like I literally like just left those lights on for this shot so that I could
Gotcha.
I think it was interesting, like, I had if you look in the behind the scenes, I have the rulers up top, having the wire holding the figures up,
Right.
and in the shot, you don't see, like, the rulers there, right?
Yeah,
The
you don't
ruler
you
shadow.
don't yeah, you don't see the shadow at all.
Yeah, and that was, like I had to take another photo of just, like, the blank or removing the ruler and then just, compositing it later in Photoshop.
Nice.
But, I think one part of this photo that, I didn't like if I could've, I would've liked to not have, like, the double shadows underneath them, and that was, again, because of, like, the 3 lamps or 2 lamps or whatever that were on above the ceiling.
It
But
makes
yeah,
it feel dynamic, though. I think the shadows there work, honestly.
yeah,
Personally, I think they work.
it does. Yeah, I mean, it kinda does show, like, a movement if you wanna look at it that way too,
Yeah.
but
Because when you're in a basketball arena, like, there's so many lights, and they're coming from every angle,
right.
and I don't know, I felt like you did that shot, like, perfect, so I really don't think that you could have done it better, honestly.
That's
But
true. I mean,
that's just me.
that's interesting too, because, like, if I can look at it a certain way, but then somebody else can look at it another way and be like,
Yep,
"Oh, so."
yep, exactly, and I used to watch basketball, as a kid. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan, so, like,
Mhm.
I used to love his stuff, and, and also I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, so, like, you and your basketball stuff whenever of course, you and Jackson, whenever he does his basketball stuff, it just kind of brings me back to this long time ago, back when I was a little kid and I was just eating up the Michael Jordan stuff.
Yeah, don't tell Jax that you like Michael Jordan, though.
Uh-oh. Why not?
I'm just kidding. I think Jax has a thing against Michael Jordan, but I'll
What
let him
kind of
talk
beef
about
is it?
that.
What's the beef?
He's a
You
Laker
know?
fan. He's a Laker fan.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where that
I'll
is. But
tease him.
yes,
I'll tease him about that when he comes on the podcast.
I agree 100%. Like his basketball stuff is like so good, and it's anytime you see a basketball shot, I feel like it just reminds me of the Plastic Baller series that he's doing. And if
Yep.
anybody doesn't know his Plastic Baller series, you should definitely check it out on Instagram, hashtag Plastic Ballers with a Z. But
Mhm.
his stuff is fire for
It
sure.
is so fire, and, like, I can't wait to pick his brain. I messaged him. He actually messaged me, I want about to say a week ago, and, we started a conversation, and I can't wait to get into his mind about that kinda stuff because
Mhm.
he's a master at that kind of basketball shots.
Oh yeah,
So
for
cool.
sure.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and, I kinda wanna open the mic up to you now. If you want to say anything to maybe your fans or to people out there that follow you, your friends, just mic's open, man, whatever you wanna say.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for, inviting me onto this podcast. I don't do a lot of podcasts. I'm trying to think like when was the last time I did one? I feel like I only did one other one, right? And it's always great to just, talk to a fellow toy photographer and, just chop it up about what we love to do. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate everybody that's, supported me and whoever's, listening that does follow me and has ever liked one of my photos, left a comment, reached out to me. I really appreciate that stuff. So yeah, let's just continue to chat and see where else we go. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Richie, man, likewise, sir. It's been an honor. I'm so honored that you came on the podcast, and I
The honor's mine, man.
cannot wait to see what everybody thinks about this episode because I know they're gonna love it, and maybe they'll go out and buy a cheeseburger after it's done.
I hope they buy a cheeseburger in the process of them listening to it and
We should
then
put a
let us
disclaimer.
know.
We really should put a disclaimer at the beginning. Just say, "Warning: This episode may cause you to purchase a cheeseburger."
Dude, you should totally do that.
I think I might. I think I might. I'm just gonna do it. It'll throw everybody off. So you can find me at Dagobah_days. You can find the Mezco 112 Collective feature page at 1.12.collective. And you can find the Toy Photographers podcast at Toy Photocast. And remember, everybody, we are storytellers. So get out there, go shoot some toys, have some fun, and eat a cheeseburger, okay? Peace out.
Peace.